like doing podcasts. But, buddy, you said it at the top of the show. Let's jump into it. 20-year anniversary. Here we are in January 2023. It's the Royal Rumble. You're now the WWE champion coming off of Armageddon, which we did talk about last month. So if you haven't checked that episode out, go ahead and take a listen. Is the feeling different, Kurt, on your third title reign compared to your first or second? How are you feeling at this point, being a three-time champ?
Be honest with you, I got those first two titles so quickly in my career that I wasn't really as good as I was the third time I won it. I think that experience took over, and I was a lot better of a wrestler, an overall performer and entertainer. And so my third title run was a little bit better than the other two because I was actually a better wrestler and a better entertainer. Other than that, there was not much of a difference.
Well, dude, let's get into it. Let's get into the story. Let's start the build, if you will, to Royal Rumble 2003. Your first promo on SmackDown coming out of SmackDown, you thank Brock Lesnar for his help for defeating Big Show. Lesnar comes out looking for his title shot because, of course, he should. And you agree he'll get the first one, but you're already wrestling Chris Benoit, and you tell Lesnar he can get his shot next week. When are you told, Kurt, of the plan that you're going to be paired up with Paul Heyman, as we're about to find out?
You know what? I found out about a week before it was announced. And what's crazy was, Paul came up with this idea, and this was his idea, having Team Angle, and he wanted to manage Team Angle. And I thought it was a great idea. It's not that I needed Paul to speak for me, but he draws a lot of heat. At this particular time, I was kind of a baby face. So, having Paul on my side would draw a little bit more heat for me. So, the crazy thing is, he was managing Brock, and then he was managing Big Show. And then all of a sudden he switched.
He's managing you.
But the company didn't want to pause on that. When Paul came up with the idea, Vince was like, let's do it. Let's do Team Angle right now. So Paul had to adapt and go from Big Show to me.
So you find out about a week ahead of time. Are you excited to have Paul now as part of your presentation?
Yeah. I knew Paul would help me gain heat. He is the best heel in the business. I mean, he really is. He draws a lot of heat. He's the best promo guy I've ever been around. You're around him, you learn a lot. And so I was really happy to have Paul as my manager.
Let's do a little look back in time. Do you think that the story would have been better if you faced Brock at Survivor Series, having Heyman turn on Brock and then get the build going that way? Or do you kind of like the way it unfolded?
You know what? The thing is, I wanted to save Brock for WrestleMania. I knew that was going to be a big matchup. He was the big guy coming out of college, NCAA champion, kind of mirrored my career. And I knew that this would be very special. So I definitely loved the way they did it.
All right. Well, listen, we have 2 clips this week. That's right. Only 2 for all those that aren't huge fans of all the clips, just 2 of them. And this one is you announcing that you've signed Paul Heyman, and Heyman's going to discuss how this was the master plan to screw Lesnar. And now Lesnar's not getting a title shot. You mentioned it as far as him flip-flopping a little bit. Did you think this looked silly, or were you on board with this whole plan of how this would just ultimately look like it's all about Heyman screwing Brock?
You know what? It was a little bit far-fetched. Paul Heyman goes from Brock, the Big Show, to me, just to screw Brock Lesnar. The thing is, I don't know if that was – honestly – I didn't really mind that he did. It didn't really bother me much, but it was a little weird. I mean, going one to another that quickly.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. We're going to take a look at our first clip here of the week. It's Kurt introducing Paul Heyman as his brand new manager.
What I'd like to do right now is introduce the head of my management team, Paul Heyman.
What?
Oh my God.
I'm gonna be sick.
Right to Brock Lesnar's face. You played Brock Lesnar. You manipulated Brock Lesnar. You played him like a violin. And here's the best part now. As my first act as Kurt Angle's agent, I want to publicly declare that the Kurt Angle Brock Lesnar match for the WWE title is hereby postponed indefinitely.
Damn! Come on, Paul!
Because my client wants to pursue other options. My client wants to pursue other challengers. Any challenger but Brock Lesnar.
I cannot believe this.
Hey, Brock! From me and the champ to you. Gotcha! Again! We got him!
Well, in Heyman's face. I think Paul Heyman has some explaining to do.
Listen to reason. I told you I had the greatest contingency plan of all time. And I want you to think about this. I dumped Brock Lesnar for you. I'm not dumping you for Kurt Angle. You're still my favorite client, and Kurt Angle knows it. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened. Think about this. Think of the leverage that we now have together. We have a 7-foot-tall, 500-pound giant that put The Undertaker on the disabled list. The man that handed Brock Lesnar his first defeat ever. And we have an Olympic gold medalist who's a WWE champion. Think about the power that we now have. Think about the leverage that we now have. Think about the bargaining position that we now have. And Joe, with the three of us all together, I have so much leverage that I'm gonna walk right back there right now to Stephanie McMahon's office. And as the agent of the Big Show and Kurt Angle, I am going to demand that since Kurt Angle will not be facing Brock Lesnar next week, that Kurt Angle defends the WWE title next week right here on SmackDown against you!
Well, that's a win-win for Heyman.
It's a good idea. Listen, Kurt, as long as you're the champion, or as long as the Big Show is the champion, then we're the ones in power. As long as that title never again belongs to Brock Lesnar.
It never ends. With Heyman, the misery never ends.